Welcome to The Choice to Grow. I'm Scott Schwenk. Through these dialogues, we'll explore fresh perspectives and discover practical tools for navigating a thriving life that adds value wherever we are. I'll introduce you to innovators and creators from across our world who embody what it means to cultivate growing as a way of life. Let's prepare together. Take a deep breath in. Hold the breath briefly as you soften your shoulders and soften the soles of your feet and palms of your hands. Then exhale like you're releasing tension and setting down a heavy burden from every cell. Now let's dive in. Welcome back, everybody, to The Choice to Grow. Today I've got with me a special guest, and this is Jennifer Pastiloff. Jennifer trots the globe as a public speaker who hates bios and hosts her retreats in Italy as well as her one-of-a-kind workshops. She's taught these to thousands of people all over the world. She's the author of a popular Substack, the same name as her new book, Proof of Life. She teaches writing and creativity classes called Allow and workshops called Shame Loss. We got to go into that. When she isn't painting and selling her art. She's been featured on Good Morning America, Katie Couric, New York Magazine, People, Shape, Health Magazine, and other media outlets for her authenticity and unique voice. She is deaf, reads lips, and mishears almost everything, but what she hears is usually funnier, at least she thinks so. The author of national bestseller On Being Human, Pastiloff lives in Southern California with her son, Charlie Mel. I first met Jen many, many years ago when I would visit my friend Stacy, now called Sarasai, at a restaurant called The Newsroom. It was a very, very popular place with a whole rack of magazines and a whole lot of people who either were important or wanted to be important, who would show up there for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we met a few times through Stacy. And just recently, I was in an event with Jeff Krasno up at the One Commune property, and there was Jen, and she looked at me and she said, I know you. I said, I know you too, but I don't know how. And then a few days later, we tracked it back. One of the things I appreciate about Jen is her ability to turn just about anything into humor. And I really think it's how most of us actually find our way through life if we actually open up to the humor and the silliness and the craziness of being in a body and doing all the stuff we do to get through a day together. There's tons of praise for her books from people that you love. I think the most interesting thing is to get right to it and start to dialogue together about what really matters. And I'm actually going to begin, Jen, with the question I ask every guest. There's a question I ask every single guest, and it's based on a quote that I love and that I've been giving out for years in my teachings from Suzuki Roshi, Shunryu Suzuki Roshi, who opened the Zen Center of San Francisco in the 1960s. And he said, death is certain, the time is not. What is the most important thing?
Love. Love, which is, frankly, whatever you say it is. It can look like anything. Barring you're not intentionally hurting yourself or anyone else. And doing love, like as a verb. And that's it, because look, there's Proof of Life, my book. It's to say there's nothing that we can hold in our hands, or no bio, no achievements that finally I'm worthy, finally I'm lovable. It's inherently who we are. It's invisible. It's what makes us us. And love, like at first I thought connection, which is to say love. It's one and the same, but love, operating from that, being that, embodying that. Yeah. And that translates into connection. To me, it's one and the same, truly.
You're a mom, and most moms I've met, when they're brought back to it, can re-experience and touch that the love they experienced in the first good moments, because some moms, the baby wasn't ready or healthy right away, so it took a while to have the good moments. of eye contact with their baby was the
Mm,
most intense love they'd ever experienced in their
fascinating you
lives.
say that. Yep. Well, first of all, before I forget, because I have raging ADD, as you were talking about shame loss, I don't think the camera was on me, but I had a boogie. And I was like, oh, Lordy. But I'm sitting in front of a mirror. So I'm like covertly trying to fix it. And then finally, I don't know if you noticed, I like went off screen to get it. And I thought it was hilarious. I was like, really? Because I could also just sit here with the boogie in my nose the whole time. And then also, the other thing was when you said the newsroom, and I had this rack of, and like my 12-year-old brain was like, I thought of like a rack, like my rack. I got a good rack. And I was like, oh my God. Okay. So, the other thing is in my new book, I have a poem called Afterbirth. And it starts off with, everybody shit, the nurse said when I asked her, well, did I? You know. And my son was born on a laugh. That's not a lie. I laughed and he flew out, and I'm forever grateful. But no lie, Scott. When they put him on my chest, I didn't know. I had a panic. I went, is he supposed to look like that? I did not know. Which, of course, I'm like, Jesus Christ, Jen. I didn't read a book. I was just like, I'm going to do it. He's covered in this, gunk, and I didn't know. And so a lot of people are like, it was love at first sight. I've fallen more in love with him as his personality has grown. But the eye contact thing, breastfeeding was my very favorite thing in the world. And I would do this exercise a lot that I actually first did in the landmark world. If people don't know what it is, I don't even know how to describe it, but Scott can. Where in the advanced course, we had to like stand on stage with hundreds of people and look into someone's eyes. I'm sure you remember this.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
I
Everybody that looked at me cried. I was like, wow, I make people cry.
wait for it. So notoriously, my whole life I've not been able to let. Well, now I do. I couldn't let anyone look me in the eye. Um, and it was like I kind of covered it up, but I'd look all around, and she's fidgety, whatever. It wasn't like it didn't maybe land as like, dang, she can't make eye contact. But so we're on stage, and I forget his name. He's lovely, really tall gentleman across from me. I'm looking in his eyes, and I start hyperventilating, crying like someone said my mom just got killed, like that kind of. And I ran off the stage, and I couldn't. And I was hiding in the bathroom, and and then I was ashamed because what just happened. Um, and I had the great epiphany. I always knew I carried around this belief of I'm a bad person, and that is because I thought when I was 8, my dad died, and I thought it was my fault. I killed him, and I lived with that. And so I was afraid if someone looked in my eyes, they would see that. So I got clear on that. So cut back to breastfeeding. My son and I could just look in his eyes forever, and it's like the most like easy, pleasurable, natural, loving. It's like nothing I can experience, and it sounds so obvious, but it's like, oh, that's because there's no judgment. I'm not afraid he's seeing, oh, she's a bad person. So I would then do that exercise in my workshops that made me hyperventilate at Landmark, like they have people look in each other's eyes. And I go, hashtag baby's eyes. And they go, what? I say, so I want you to visualize looking at a kid like a baby's eyes. You don't have that like same thing. It's fact. Where if you put two adults together, people giggle, not everyone, or they cry, but with a baby. And so, and because it sounds ridiculous, hashtag baby's eyes, but yes, it's that, because it's like pure acceptance, and no judgment and just reflection. And I like to go, may I remember that as me. And that's what I'm talking about, the love, like the at the core of it. It's that.
Yeah. I do that in the mirror for years.
You do that in what?
And in the mirror, in
Oh,
the
really?
mirror. Yeah. And I
And,
teach
and
it.
you actually go hashtag baby's eyes, Scott? No.
Nope. But I will now, maybe. I will now, maybe.
What do?
No,
You just look at your own eyes and like
you
hold it?
start the same way as that they called it the being with exercise. You start the same way. You pick one eye, relax the body deeply like you're going to go into meditation, slow the exhales, because most of us, until we got a lot of practice, are going to be thinking about our judgments about our body
Yeah.
instead of really connecting past the physicality to the life force coming out of the eyes.
Same with other people. When we're doing
100%. 100%.
that. Okay.
So I've turned it into a practice, a regular practice. And when I'm feeling stirred up, like I have in the last couple of weeks with what's been, and we won't get into
Did you say
details
when I
about
feel
the
stirred
world.
up? Is that what you said?
Yeah, stirred up, shaken up, stirred up,
Yeah, yeah. I just wasn't,
tense.
I mishear.
Yeah,
So it was like, it could have been
yeah.
anything. But yeah.
So when I feel off, I go to the mirror, because what I'm missing is what would have come from if I had enlightened parents who were totally attuned, is attunement. And so my eyeballs don't know the difference between you or me giving it. It's just being given and received in the mirror.
What was the word you said? What I'm missing is the tune.
Attunement,
Okay,
attunement,
attunement. Yeah, I love that. I
feeling
love
seen,
that.
known, and loved
Look, I'm wearing a
fully.
temporary tattoo that says align,
I love
and
it.
um, and I love what you're saying because I think of like, I call it the school of whatever works. And again, barring you're not intentionally hurting yourself or anyone else. And there's nothing that like you or I can say universally, well, this is what you do when you're out of alignment. Because it's like we got to find what works for us. And I have a whole little toolbox, and not everything works all the time. But like I love that because it's one of your tools. But also, what's great is you shared it, and it's like, oh, let me play around with that now. You
Yeah.
know, whatever works in finding the attunement or helping us stay in alignment, I'm for it as long as it's not like malicious, right?
Yeah. Or harmful.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, so it's just a yet another tool when you're like, when I'm not grounded, when I'm out of alignment, out of attunement, whatever the language is, what are my, well, what helps? That's why I love in the very beginning you said something like, oh, maybe it was when you said like, may this conversation, something to the effect of like uplift everyone, and you said, I don't know how, but it will. And so I love that. It's like like finding the how. Each of us get to discover the how of, okay, I'm feeling not connected to that life force or whatever. How do I get back? Let's go discover.
And implicit in that is something knows there's a back to get to.
That there's what? A no back to
That
get to?
there is a back to get to. Let me get back to it. You said that implied in that is there must be a
Yeah.
back to get to if I even have that thought.
It's
That's
so funny
powerful.
because of my hearing, I'm like, and I'm nodding, like pretending I understand, but because of my hearing, I'm like vacillating between that you're saying there is no back to get to, or there is, and both are very interesting because in the book, especially as a woman, I think, although I can't speak to being a man, one of my old default things, from my eating disorder years, which is was a way I dealt with grief and whatever, is a old synapse where if I'm sad or stressed or out of alignment, if I'm not careful, my immediate thing is I let myself go. I'm instead of focusing on what's really going on, it's that. But the I let myself go, and it's a thing women say, and it's fascinating because it's like, or it's like I need to get back to or get it back, and it's like there is no getting it back. But getting back to who I really am, or um like a lot of times I feel like I've drifted off. It's like coming back home. But because of my ears, I wasn't sure which you were saying.
I'm actually fascinated by this, and let me take my time with it to let it kind of clarify. My experience of being with you today is that there's a sensibility or a sense, actual sense capacity that has had to come online or does come online that informs you more than your concrete senses. Did that come through?
Well, it's funny. I don't know, but it almost doesn't matter because what is what it's landing as is what I because of my it's almost like because of my deafness, I have these other superpowers, and I don't know if that's exactly what you're saying, but maybe, or maybe I'm just being a wild egomaniac. I don't
I
know.
mean, I think that's possible, but I'm not assuming that's what I mean. I'm just saying
Yeah.
I can feel
Okay, so
that there's a
say it again. I'm pushing my hearing aid in, and I'm like,
I
oh,
can feel that there's a sense, a capacity that you draw on to understand what people are actually communicating more than what they're saying. Even if you understood every word they're saying out loud, most people are not saying the thing.
oh, yeah. Okay, so we're saying the same thing. I just like use the word superpower as kind of a little wink, like, but yes, I mean, I always say I'm a witch, and I used to say that kind of jokingly, and now I don't. It's, I have a, and people are often floored by it, and I do believe we all have that, but I don't care why, frankly, but why I am that way. But what I will say is my deafness has exacerbated it, and then I've embraced it, and I, so yes, yes, and a lot of it, like was based on survival at first, like how do I get by in the world and learning how to listen in different ways, and now but like embracing it is a whole other thing. It's like I don't know, it makes me feel very like way more comfortable in my skin. Like actually I'm not missing everything all the time.
Yeah. Hmm. I'm just thinking about the listeners. Where are you listeners or us? Where are we anywhere in our lives diminishing ourselves because, oh, I can't draw like that person draws, or I can't
Where are
do
we
this the way
not?
they do it, right? But like to come, when we talk about coming home, whatever the tool is that gets us there, a mirror, a massage, whatever it is, drinking water, walking
I
on the
thought you were gonna say
beach.
drinking wine. I was like, no, Scott, not anymore.
No, 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 water, water,
I know.
water. Yeah. How important it is to find ways to drop the noise.
And the irony that I'm a deaf person and like and that I'm going to give you a resounding fuck yes is yeah, yeah. And the important thing is well, there's two. One is to be in the land of possibility, because I know so many people where it's impossible. No, it's not. And then define the ways, and that can feel overwhelming, especially if you're someone like me who is like, oh, I have to write the book, and instead of just sitting down and writing one word, it's thinking about the whole book. It's like um finding ways, discover, flip the narrative and make it exciting. Okay, great, I get to find ways. But yes, it's possible, and also there's no set way. Should is an asshole. There's no Bible on like this is how to. You find what works. And then you honor what doesn't, and you don't beat yourself up as best as you can, because that's old hat. Although you may again, I do. I'm not going to lie, you know. But yeah, what works to help drop the noise? I curse a lot, and I used to say I'm working on it. Like that's a lie. So I'm not. I'm actually not working on cursing less, but I call it your bullshit stories, but also the inner asshole. And look, call it whatever you want. Your inner bully, inner critic, Roger, um, who, and ultimately it's there to protect us, I think, but it can be the boss of us. So how do I quiet it? How do I not let it be the boss of me today? Just today, because that's all. I got no idea for tomorrow. Today.
Yeah. Did the today show up earlier in your life, or did that show up in the last 7 months with this newfound sobriety?
No, it showed up earlier, but I forget it all the time, and that's why, like, human, right? It was actually during COVID because my work, although it's like I don't know how to define it, and that kind of tickles me. I'll be like, I don't know how to describe my workshop, but look around, it's packed, it's sold out. So I hope that inspires you. Not that you want to do what I do, but that you can create a thing that's not a thing and make it a thing, and you get to say. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't. I'll be in London. We'll finish it, and I'll go, "What would you call this?" And everyone's like, "Hell if I know," but I loved it. And um, so during COVID, I stopped working. And what I realized with all of a sudden, I was like, interestingly, I felt like the old me. Like, how did I get back here? Like, what the fuck? And what dawned on me is, oh, working keeps me in alignment, And yesterday, Brower said, what it like, we teach best what we most need to learn, or maybe I flipped it, but it's that because I really love what I do, and I don't, as aware as best to my knowledge, nothing comes out of my mouth that like is both like I walk the talk. And so when I wasn't working, I was like, oh, and then I went, wait a minute, I have nothing anchoring me to like anything, and and to take the piss out of myself, I was like, oh, what do I think? That one book I read that one time, or those workshops I did, like, or those people that said they knew things, like I, I can subsist on that, or, um, and so it hit me like a ton of bricks. Oh my God, it's about daily practices. It's about today. And like it got, because I was so depressed, so out of alignment, and I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, okay, so working in quotes, meaning like being in the dialogue, and I wasn't. So then I was like, okay, what? And so I began to seek out daily practices. And then, as I wrote this book, I'm really big on humor and also honesty. I went back and at the 11th hour edited everything so that it was daily-ish practices, because I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm like so not consistent, but really it's about today, because how much we set ourselves up for like, I'm going to write every day, and from now on I'm going to X, Y, or Z. It's like, you know what, today. um so yeah, that definitely came before the sobriety thing, and yet I forget it a lot. So,
What was the turning point for knowing you had to choose sobriety or wanted to?
oh, I mean, I knew, gosh, I don't know, 20, 25 years. It wasn't that I didn't know. Like, I damn well knew. I just didn't want to do anything about it. So I have a thing, I'm sure I'm not alone in this, where I had a hack where I'm not going to say it out loud and then it doesn't exist. I did that with my marriage. I did that with my deafness for a long time, and I did it with drinking. Just not going to name it until I did. And the turning point was my dad dropped dead when he was 38. I was 8. He was a drug addict. And my son turned 8. And I got really clear. I had never in my life ever, 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 ever seen myself with tenderness or softness until my son turned 8, and I had a breakdown of sorts. I don't know. It was like I couldn't be. It was astounding. I was like, that was me the first time, and then there was a bit of shame around that, because I was like, this so old. What's wrong with me? And but you know what? That's a story too. There's no timeline. It's imaginary time guides. It's never too late. So I saw myself with softness and tenderness, and I also got really clear. I don't know when my bodily time will be up. Touch wood. It's not for quite some time, but I am not going to kill myself like my father did. And it took my son turning 8. So that's the short script of it.
I have no proof about this, but I have said to so many clients in their one on one sessions, with utter conviction who have kids that whatever age one's child is, unlocks more of the access to that time in one's own life. Knowingly or unknowingly, this stuff will come up.
Oh, you mean like every age they hit, or yeah.
Yep. It
Oh,
unlocks. So
so
when he's 9, it unlocks 9.
100%. And eight, like I will never have language to describe what eight was. I mean, I essentially, I thought I died then. Like until 3 years ago, I thought I was dead inside. And of course, the great irony is I'd lead these beautiful workshops and I was wonderful at holding space and for others, but nothing. And I stopped being a kid and like I was like, I'm the man of the house now. And I told myself, I don't care. I locked my jaw and I chanted, I'm strong and I'm a bad person until I didn't have to chant it. It just was so. So Charlie turning eight was like, no one could have prepared me, even if they told me. It was like the most life changing experience ever.
Is the tenderness growing towards yourself more since then, or is it something you have to
Wow,
work at?
I've never heard it put that way or even thought it put that way, and absolutely, I love that. Yes, yes, and yes.
Huh.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Yes.
It's so easy to say things that are tropes, and they actually are true, but like it's so easy to say things when I look at my life, your life, so many people I've interviewed who make a big difference were cracked open at an early age by really difficult experiences.
Yeah.
And I come back again and again to how much compassion that can offer when it's there. Chogyam Trungpa, who was part of creating Naropa University, one of the first lineage Tibetan monks to escape Tibet and come to America. Uh, he was a drunk. He was a profound transmitter of truth and lineage, Tibetan Buddhism, and he had a terrible car accident when he was first out of Tibet that left him in intense pain. Nobody knew if he was really a drunk or if he was just putting on a show, because he could we'd bring whiskey on stage to teach and drink it and then kind of act all sort of way. And he would come off stage sometimes to one of his close people and just totally seem sober and go, how'd you like the
It's so
show?
interesting. That was me, and that's why almost everyone, and this fascinates me and frightens me, because I learned how at an early age to withstand. Like I never presented as no one knew. I'm like, how could you not know? I drank like a bottle of tequila every 2 days, but at night only, of course, But I never presented as, and so it's very interesting to hear that.
Well, and what he said that sticks with me, he said many things, but one thing he said, I don't care how much wisdom you have until you've suffered enough. I don't trust it because you don't have any compassion.
Well, I'll tell you what. Like in the moment, it wasn't like my dad dying is a gift or my hearing loss is a gift.
Hell no.
No, but you know what? I'll never forget. I think it was 2014. I broke my foot and I had been on antidepressants, which I'm on now, and shame loss, sharing that. But at the time, I had gone off and I was not doing that well. And I broke my foot and I had lapsed back into not great habits with like my eating disorder and over exercising. I was leading a retreat. I broke my foot and it felt like the worst thing that could have happened to me because I was immobilized and so I'm at the ER. I'll never forget this. And I posted on Facebook, I broke my foot. And someone wrote like, this is your yoga. This is a gift. And I like closed the computer and I was like, Mom, take it away because I'm about to write, you should fuck off, all the way off. Because like that is bypassing, you know what? Whatever your time is, whether it's 15 minutes or a year, like you gotta feel it first. Like in what universe does something happen and like there's like immediately you go to, this is a gift. Maybe I can't speak for everyone, but like what? So the gift in my dad dying and all that was no compassion for myself. No, until my son turned 8. But for other people, like perhaps my greatest gift, for which I am so grateful.
Wow.
And
It
combined
all
with my
clicked.
healing, because like those two things, like I'm a walking like, and sometimes I do forget not to make up assumptions or stories, but because of those two things, it's like I am, and I think that's why I'm like people meet me, they're like, I feel like I've known you forever. I joke like I'm bad at almost everything, but what I'm good at, I'm really good at. And one is like, connection, and people feel very safe around me. And that comes from that sensibility, right? That compassion and that sort of um I got you-ness.
Yeah. I feel tender for all the times I've said something or other people have said something that sounded like a spiritual bypass. They meant well, they really did mean well. And I feel like we are just at the beginning of more people starting to learn how to just be with what's happening and
Yeah.
be with an emotion without trying to coach it, fix it, medicate it, push it away, and just like, wait, it's just energy.
But so it's interesting. You're talking like for your own self. That's one thing. Like learn to just, and that's hard. I have a really challenging time being with what is so, which is why I said the thing about like if I don't name it, but what you, so yes, but around other people saying to you, I work with all these women who've lost children. I bring them my retreat, and I'm really good at that. And the people at my retreat, because it's like no one's trying to fix them. No one offers platitudes. It's about bearing witness, and that's all they need. And more, I've gotten good because I've learned it, right? So it's like the other people saying stuff,
Yeah.
um, where it's like some people are like they simply can't be with a woman who's lost a child, especially if they have a child, because all it's like it's contagious, right? Like they want to, instead of just being with it. But I think it's and maybe it's the same thing, but it's like within our own selves, but also being with others with grief or whatever's going on.
My first retreat at Omega, was it my first? Yeah, I think it was my first retreat at Omega. It was still sort of quarantine. We were like sort of wearing masks,
Oh my
not
gosh,
wearing
so I thought you
masks.
said it was still sort of corny, and I was like, "That's hilarious." You said that with such a straight face. Oh my god,
Yeah,
yeah,
quarantine,
quarantine.
COVID. And I don't remember what prompted me to ask this question to the people in the retreat. I was talking about how suffering is important to be with and it grows so many important things. And then I just said, has anyone in here lost a child?
Wow,
3 sets of people,
3 people.
3 different people out of a retreat of maybe 25.
That's so interesting that you had that down whatever intuition, like
It got so real right away.
Yeah, I love it. I
And
love it.
and nobody tried to coach anybody.
Thank God.
And what was helpful to a lot of folks was to see that like some of the losses were in time a long time ago. It doesn't matter. And you wrote that somewhere in something I read today
Well,
preparing
that's
for
that's
this.
what I was talking about the shame about like I dealt with my son turning 8, and I was like, really, Jen? As if grief has an expiration date. And I think what you're saying is super important because we all need to remember that and keep reiterating that
Yeah.
and honoring that.
There is a woman, let me see. I'm going to just go grab the paper right here. There's a woman who is a neuroscientist,
I'm gonna wait.
and
I gotta read your lips, so I'm gonna wait till you come back. Okay.
there's a woman who's a neuroscientist, Mary Frances O'Connor.
Okay.
She was recently on the Huberman Labs podcast,
Mhm.
and she focuses on grief and grieving.
Oh,
And
okay.
so she has distinguished the difference between grief and grieving.
Ooh,
She
I want to
says,
hear this podcast, but tell me.
grieving, we're going to do for the rest of our lives. We just are. Grief is the immediate,
Is the
like
cute, like I'm in
in the
grief. Is
yeah,
like
I'm in grief, like the first however many stages or waves or whatever the heck it
where I'm
is. Like
feeling okay, yeah.
I lost my mom to cancer right before quarantine, right before COVID,
Sorry.
went into lockdown as a single person, and then my dad stopped speaking to me and permanently.
You don't talk to him still?
No, I've tried to write. He just got crazy. He's a born again Christian in South Carolina who can't stand that his son is gay and is
So,
torn up about
wow,
that.
that's a lot of loss, buddy. Wow.
Yeah. So I'm there in lockdown going,
Wait,
okay.
in my brain, I'm going to assess on this because did your dad like not know you were gay before? I mean,
No, he got triggered because, well, I've told this story, I'll tell it again. So in the beginning of lockdown, I said to him, and he didn't recall it this way, Dad, I need you to lean in and check in on me a bit more. I don't know how this is going to go.
yeah,
I, I'm not going to see anybody I know. I
you
don't,
asked for what you needed. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right. He didn't hear it that way. He thought I was going to check in with him on my own. So a couple weeks go by and I go, hey, this, I said this. And oh, I misunderstood. And I said, and this is where it changed forever. I said, because I thought we were at this point in life after all these years. I said,
When
you
did you
have
come
a,
out? Just for my reference, like to him.
I came out to him as by the week I graduated from college,
Okay, okay, okay.
right? Like this is not new news.
Got it.
And so I said, you have a wife. And then I said, jokingly, but not, I was like, not that I want a wife. I'm as gay as can be and wouldn't have it any other way. That was the thing. And then every topic of
Was that new
conversation,
information to him though? Like what?
it was something about it. And who knows? My mom thinks my dad was gay. They haven't been together since I was 7. So my young event was them
That is so
splitting up.
wild and bizarre.
But wait, so he gets salty on anything we talk about the rest of that call and another phone call a couple weeks later. And I exited that phone call. This is the last time I spoke to him. And I wrote and I said, what is going on? What is actually going on? This makes no sense. We
You
had
wrote you wrote him?
yeah, we had 2 good years of FaceTime. Really good years. After years of not getting along, we had 2 good years of
This was
FaceTime
before all this.
before all this. So he writes back to me this short letter that totally centers himself, saying,
Of
it's
course.
none of the topics that we were talking about. It's that I'm, quote, agonizing in my heart over your chosen lifestyle as a homosexual and that I won't have biological grandchildren.
Oh God. Oh bless.
So, wait, so I write, and I would have done it differently at this stage, but I wrote the letter. Boom. He says he's a sober person. So the first thing I did was cut and paste from the 12 steps about making an amends and
Uh-huh.
how you allow the person to go through whatever they need to go through and don't
My
assume that
tattoo says allow, by the way.
that your amends is suddenly supposed to wave a magic wand and they're going to be feeling better about all the shit you did. So I wrote all the things. I wrote like, trauma awareness, how trauma works in a body, all the things. He beat me as a kid. His anger was terrifying. His eyes would shake and he would just go crazy at the drop of a hat. Then when he became a born again Christian, my experience from him was like, God's forgiven me, so everybody else needs to just let it all go and it's all good. He's like, no, that's not how it works. So I know pretty surely that letter is why he won't communicate with me ever again. His shame.
It's so sad. I mean, it's as someone, who lost their dad so young and who has a kid, like I'm fascinated and I know it's weird how many people I know who are like estranged. It's fascinating to me that your dad wouldn't move heaven and earth. No pun intended, born again Christian man to reconnect and like the willingness to sever that is my brain can't comprehend it. Um and also the irony of like Jesus was like the coolest motherfucker and like would be like, you know, it is so mind blowing. Jesus was like, I would love to be more Christ like. I mean, I'm a Jew, and yet all the in the name of, all the violence and the judgment it's like the most not Christ like. So it's all of it is just upsetting. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Hi.
Yeah.
the AC.
He left.
No, I know. Just do you want the AC on? I was just gonna.
Oh, I'm good right now.
Okay,
Thank
no
you. Real
At the
life.
same time, actually, I'm going to write that time signature down, 39 minutes. At the same time, I get it. Like if I zoom out, I get it. So I sit with, because it still comes up. I've done tremendous shadow work around my dad and relationships and continuing to date emotionally unavailable men, to replicate it, and like a lot of. So when the waves come up, I just feel them.
Sure.
And I sometimes let myself say, fuck that guy. And then I back up and I have compassion, because here's what I know, Jen, is when
I love
he
that
was
you just
8.
shared your humanness, though, instead of like, and then I just breathe and instead you.
No.
But I love
Sometimes I
you
literally am just like, fuck that
breathe.
guy. So when he was 8, his father died of a heart attack.
Mm.
He never got over it. He told me he never got over it. He still has a lot of
No
pain
one gets
about it.
over it. That's
Right. And then that man, my grandpa Charlie, who I never knew, who died when my dad was 8, his father sent him to the House of Good Shepherd when he was a little boy, orphanage, because the mom died. I guess that'd be my
so it's just
great
intergenerational.
grandmother. Keeps happening around that age with a loss of connection with the father.
Wow. And my son's name is Charlie, by the way,
I love that name. I have such a deep connection. My grandma had pictures, because she loved him, all the stuff from my grandpa Charlie. And ever since I was little, I was fascinated. I had nobody else's photo in my bedroom as a child except for my grandpa Charlie.
I just, I'm with you. Like I lost a friendship when I left my marriage and with Henry, and I wrote about it in the book and everything. And like, I have compassion. It doesn't mean I understand, but I can have compassion. And some days, I get angry and I'm able to come back. Well, you know what I mean? I'm able to come back to acceptance because it is what is so. But it doesn't mean I don't still feel sad or have the feelings and I think that's the most important part. And also, it's not being immobilized. So if you stayed stuck in fuck that guy, that's different. That's bitterness. You're stuck in it. But when you have it and it's able to move through you, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah. I'm feeling really pulled to ask you if you would read us some section of your book.
Of course.
A paragraph, a page, however, like just something that you feel like
Sure.
would really be nice for us to hear or beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so proud of this book, and I stayed so true to my voice. I mean, I thought I was going to be a poet, when I was at NYU, like really an academia, very literary. And before senior year, I took a semester off, which is still going on. So I became an accidental college dropout, and I got a summer job that lasted 14 years at the Nugent Cafe. So I didn't think I got to write poems. And there is a poem in every chapter. And that to me is just a beautiful win, personal win, because I didn't think I got to. I was waiting for permission. And the subtitle of the book is Stop Waiting for Permission to Live Your Life. And also, in the very beginning, there's a glossary of terms, of Gen terms, which I love. Like I did it. So I'm going to.
That's brilliant. I'm wondering about this. Your first book, from what I gather, did really, really well. I mean, the praise and who praises it in writing is, a pretty great list, including Liz Gilbert herself.
Yeah, Liz and I we've done workshop. We were on the cover of Yoga Journal together, which
so she said she shared, she shared how confronting it was to write a second book after the Eat, Pray, Love was so successful. Did you have anything similar going into the second book about like my first book, my second book?
Yeah, let's go back about an hour to being in the car and the phone, and think about the question you're asking me. Let's just like revisit in time less than an hour ago when like I was running late and and how I was like, you're scary. So what do you think? Yes, it's vulnerable, it's terrifying. I feel like I want to poop my pants, and I'm not drinking. My son's in London. I hadn't seen Henry in a month. Yes, exclamation point, times 1 million.
Okay, everybody, can we just pause together, listeners? This is in time, out of time. It's always now. Jen has so much on her plate. And Jen, if you don't want to hear this, cover your ears. But we're going to actually just pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and see you surrounded by nourishment in the easy moments, the difficult moments, and the numb moments. and feeling resourced, and people coming out of the woodwork who can, to be supportive in ways that are useful and helpful. May it be so, and so it is.
Scott, in my little boy's handwriting on my birthday, not this birthday, the one before, my latest tattoo is this in Charlie's handwriting, and so it is. And so it is.
So wonderful.
Thank you. I receive. Thank you. Really, really. And my other one is I got you. And so that's really what you're saying. And thank you. I guess it's called Proof of Life. So I think I'm going to read that poem in the book. Proof of Life. I have nothing to show for it. My friend says, like she's dying and some estate agent needs evidence to show she had value. The listing invisible, the agent a pest, the whole thing a scam. Still, she bows in shame, has nothing tangible to prove her worth. I tell her she doesn't need to show shit, but she doesn't buy it. Can you remember how someone you love smells after they're gone? How happy you were that one summer? How pain eventually forgets how bad it hurts? I remind her it's impossible to show what's invisible. When we were young, it was called show and tell, I say to my friend, who wishes she was young more than she wishes she wasn't dying. There's no tell anymore. It's just show and show. Show you're relevant, show you're deserving, show you matter. That these commands aren't real is no deterrent to our obedience. No wonder we feel like we're dying. I try and convince her it's a sham. She tries to convince me that unless you can show proof that you matter, you don't. I dump my purse's contents. Guess I don't matter. All I have is this. To show how I matter, I hold up my proof. 1 expired license, a Lego man, 3 nickels, dirt from the bottom of my bag that I tell her is holy, a lone hearing aid, a used Band-Aid, Lexapro, a key I thought was lost that wasn't.
A key I thought I lost that wasn't. That is a title. A key I thought I lost that wasn't. I mean, for me, that just like hits me in the chest is like the whole journey of waking up and growing up. The key I thought I lost that wasn't.
On that. I'm glad you picked up what I was putting down in my purse. Yeah. And the proof of life. I mean, it really, really, it's wild. And I catch myself at times, what do I have to show for it? And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And a lot of us live that way. That's just the society. Like, how many followers you have? Are you relevant? What's your latest book? Ooh, what's your currency? And all of it, and we keep remembering. We are our own proof of life.
Unpack that a little bbit more. We are our own proof of life.
Yeah, there's no proof. There's nothing you can show to prove you're worthy. Nothing you can show me. Everything, the magical, wonderful, weird, delicious, delightful things about Scott are invisible. Like there's nothing. Look, don't you love me now? And yet, right? I'm like, whoa, I'm doing it again. Maybe with this book, I'll finally or what look at social media, all of it. It's like, see how relevant I am, see how much I matter, and there's nothing that you can prove to show that you get to be happy, that you get to have a life that lights you up, that, oh yes, now you're allowed, now that you've hit the New York Times bestseller, now that you found a husband, Scott, now that you've had a child, now that whatever it may be. And so it's remembering that, and that our birthright, I don't care who you are, I do care, but what I mean is I don't care. Your birthright is not stress, is not feeling bad, is not misery, is not shame. I don't care what your inner asshole has told you or outer asshole. It's not. And there's nothing to prove, and there's nothing you can use as proof. You are the proof.
Yeah. So, what about the application of this to rest and not having to earn rest?
You're saying rest?
Rest.
Yeah, well, I talk a lot about that in the book, like especially my partner who just, went to set. He's, totally different history, upbringing, all the things. And he has that kind of mentality a lot of people have, like rest must be earned. And he's working on it. And that's like such a great big lie, right? Um, I struggle. For me, I'm like, oh, that's such bullshit. And yet, because I was raised in chaos with a single mom who always had to hustle, there's a really ancient primal belief that I'm always going to have to hustle. I don't get to, So, um, you get to rest. Like one thing I say a lot is the book was going to be called "You Get to Have This," and this meaning whatever your inner a-hole is telling you don't get to have, i.e., rest, i.e., deep love, i.e., compassion. So, rest is where so much of the magic happens. Like how much I thought it wasn't writing the book. Oh my god, and like in those moments of rest, so much is germinating and marinating and actually happening, and then or not, and that's also beautiful. But it's not to be underestimated. It doesn't need to be earned, and it's such a form of nourishment. It's everything.
What are your unexpected ways of resting?
Pardon?
What are your unexpected ways of resting?
One of them is, it's going to sound like, and that's weird to say unexpected, and I'll say unexpected because I'm an addict, even to my phone, is not sleeping with my phone next to my head, like putting it in the other room so it's not the first and last thing. And I think that's a really great tool if you can do it. Some people can't for various reasons, because they're a doctor, because they're a caretaker, whatever. But for me, I say unexpected because, like drinking, stopping drinking, and I didn't think I could. So don't believe everything you think. And so that's one unexpected way. I became a painter as someone who like constantly was like, I'm not an artist and I can't draw a stick figure. And it's my medicine. It's not exactly rest because I'll stay up all night even, but it provides my soul, my ego, my heart with the same sense of rest, because it's the one thing I do where I don't talk bad about it's like just play. So my inner asshole gets rest.
I feel like, Jen, that when many of us hear rest, we think laying down and closing the eyes.
Yeah, and
And,
notice
and
when I said the painting, that's what I'm saying is like,
yeah,
but I'm actually thinking, and I'm like, as you're asking, I'm like, yeah, of course, in this particular moment in time is not the time to rest, like right before the book comes out. So it's hard right now to even conceptualize. Um, but what I do know is like, I got to give myself a break. I think we all do. Like, we're just so hard on ourselves. And so when you ask the question, it's sort of one of those reminders like, oh, yeah, there's that.
yeah. Well, what about, I mean, in your workshops, do you teach forms of micro rest, like
Yeah, well,
little, like,
okay. So for example, my Italy retreat is we pick everyone up in Florence. It's like an hour and a half drive. It's in Siena, about an hour from town. And as time has gone on, and I've done like a bazillion now, I'm a pro at my weird, wacky retreat. I am not interested on like sightseeing and all that. So we do 2-day trips. And I'm like, if you want to do that, do it on the front and back end. I'm not bringing you here for that. And it's really about the idea of retreat in the true sense. It's about rest, whatever that means for you personally. So at the retreat, it's like, it's so gorgeous and no one apologizes. I always say apologize if an apology is called for, but like someone will be like sitting in this little hammock reading, another person's like, and everyone's honoring what they want, like what's rest for them. And in the morning, because the whole retreat is like nonstop sharing, talking, we do silent mornings. And at first everyone grimaces and rolls their eyes, and it's there's two things that people incessantly thank me for, and that is one of them. So that, and the idea of doing less. When I first started like 15 years ago, it was like, oh my God, I have to give them their money's work and pack the schedule. And now it's like less, 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 less.
I feel
And
like we all have to learn that one as teachers, that less is more.
yeah, and it sounds like well, it is cliche for a reason, but you got to arrive to it on your own to really get it. And but even the fact of the location of my retreat, because it's far, at first I was like, oh my God. But it's perfect because it really gives you that sense of like retreating. The retreat is a retreat. And I invite deep rest. And it's not like you have to turn off your phone. Great if you want to, great if you don't, but it's an invitation to rest in whatever way that feels intuitive. And it might be uncomfortable at first, especially if you're someone who finds your worthiness in being busy or productive.
I ask people to go into silence, and this actually, I wasn't sure how I would do it when I gave my first retreat, and I called my teacher friend Sally Kempton, and she said, da 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 da. So that's what I do always. And people fight it in the beginning, and they thank me later. And I say, okay, after the evening program, if there's an evening program, or after dinner, silent until lunch. Because I want you to be able to connect. I want you to be able to be with each other.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I want you to experience what I've experienced, which is intimacy does not come from speaking.
It's really wonderful. It's really, really wonderful. And it's so holy. It really is.
Yeah. Like it's whole. It's whole.
Was that on your end or mine?
Mine. It's whole. It's just totally whole. Like
Oh,
holy
yeah.
as whole. And I
Yeah.
wonder if that's the origin of that word, holy as whole.
It is absolutely about being whole. And like, especially for someone like me who beat myself up and thought I was knew I was a bad person. It's like, well, I don't get to be whole. I don't get to rest. And that's bullshit.
So has ground been taken? Like, do you feel more and more of the time your innate worthiness just because you exist? Yet?
Absolutely.
Good.
Although in this particular moment in time, because super vulnerable book about to come out, all of a sudden I'm like, wait, what happened? How did I? So, and I it's par for the course. I'm okay with that. I'm like, I get it. It's a very unique, bizarre time, very different than being an actor. It's like everything's like on you, and also it's not like fiction, so but an answer, yes, absolutely. And I am proud to say that one of the other things I'm good out of basically being good at nothing else is being utterly myself, whoever's in front of me or whatever audience. And I don't question why I'm like that or even how. I'm like, I just am, and I'm grateful that I'm able to do that and be that way. And it's interesting how it floors me how many people are flabbergasted by that. Like, how do you do? It's like it's so phenomenal. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful I can model that, and that it's not hard for me, and that I'm like comfortable enough. And part of it is like I accept how tricky it is not being able to hear, and so like I now embrace it and lead with it, and like have a humor about it. And so I'm like, I might as well just show up exactly as I am.
Yeah.
Here, that's where the magic is for all of us.
If everything you'd ever written, including this new book, and everything you'd ever taught was just gone, and it's the end of your life, whenever that comes, may it be like 100 years from now, healthy, vital, and fit, and you're going to leave a couple of things to benefit people who are willing to pick them up, what would you leave us?
Well, I think about that a lot, like your legacy, whatever you want to call it. And like, I love the idea. I used to make these. I used to own. I forgot to pay the bill. Haha. Don't be an asshole. Meaning to yourself, really. But so whenever anyone saw like that, they'd think of me. So I was like, great, I'm the asshole lady. But now I get anytime someone sees I got you or a video or whatever, they send it to me. And so I'm like, that's amazing. I am associated in their mind with I got you. And that's not nothing. That to me is like the greatest gift. And I think, well, wait, that's amazing. That's how people think of me. Like my friend Koa sees hearts everywhere. She takes pictures and she's love embodied. When everyone sees a heart, they send it to her. And I'm like, do you understand this? You're one and the same with that. And so I got you and love. And I have a sort of famous quote that I actually have with me right here because Henry's doing a thing with Valerie Bertinelli, and I brought it for her. And it wasn't intended for this. It was I had a breakdown at the newsroom, after I thought I was going to be a scholar, and I was like holding a veggie burger 10 years later, convincing myself I was too old, which is the stupid, and I said stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. First of all, I was like 30, and you're never too old, but oh, what have I done? And I arrived finally at when I get to the end of my life and I ask one final, what have I done? Let my answer be, I have done love. And so, and then, it became like a thing. But what's interesting is it's used at funerals all the time now. I didn't like make it for that, but I'm very touched by that. But I've revised that now to when I get to the end of the podcast, when I get to the end of my meal. So it's about today. And so it's about doing love. And again, whatever that looks like, it doesn't have to be about I donated money or, it's giving someone my attention. It's whatever it is. But
Yeah.
I got you one and the same, like I said, with the connection thing. So it's really that. And also my art, and whether that's my visual art, which I'm very proud of because of the fact that it was something that I quote unquote didn't know how to do and still don't, and I allowed for play, or my words, that's there for perpetuity. Is that the right word? Right?
Yeah. I think
Okay.
so.
Yeah.
If it's
Well,
not, we'll make
if
it
it's
right.
not, you know what I
We'll
mean?
make it work. Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
love your artwork. I've been looking, I'd like to see it in person. I've only seen pictures of it, but like what fascinates me right now about this play of your life is that in one
ooh, I
area,
like that. You said that.
you're heavily trafficking in words. As a so-called deaf person, you're heavily trafficking in words. And then in this other part of your life, there's no words. And it's so rich
Oh,
and
wow.
fulfilling.
I love when people say it because it's like, I heard it all. And I'm like, no, I haven't. Uh, you narcissist, of course you haven't. But like when someone says something that stops me in my tracks, and you said quite a few things, but like, wow, yeah. And also at first I thought you were like someone who's heavily trafficking in drugs. I was like, no, it was booze. My dad was a drug addict. My poison of choice was booze. But yeah, heavily trafficking. Yeah, that's a very astute observation.
Yeah. And that's why I can get for you how painting is rest. It's active rest, but it's
But it was really
rest.
interesting, Scott. It was I call it a who knew. I was 47, and those things we tell ourselves. I was not like I couldn't draw, and all my life I told myself that probably from what I was told, who knows, as a kid. So the fact that at my son's 6th birthday and I started playing and then I couldn't stop and then I kept going, the fact that I allowed myself to discover and play, and a great epiphany, another one I had is like when people come over and they're just astounded by my home and Henry's that's just filled with art because I'm, a maniac and I'm an addict, but it's not that they love it. Whether they love it or not isn't the point. It's this: I could never do that. Meaning, oh, I wouldn't be good at it. I don't know how, all the things. And that saddens me because I realize how many ways am I that way? How many ways do we think we're done or we're cooked? Like, that's just how I am. I wouldn't be, all the things that we don't discover because we decide beforehand that, nope, not for me. And that I allowed myself to play it every day. It tickles me every day because I recognize how it's pretty wild, you know? And people will be like, well, how do you know what paint to use? And I go, I don't. I use whatever I find. And people think I'm joking. And they're like, look at that, you know, that was texture. And because I don't know what I'm doing in quotes, I don't know if it's good and I don't care. And it has no, it's not my, there's no attachment. And, and because I, you know, so everything's like, there's a freedom. And that is the comment I get the most. There's such a freedom. It's because like, I don't know what I'm doing. So there's these like implicit gifts. And if people would let go of the idea of it has to be quote unquote perfect, that doesn't exist, or get it right, wow, on the other side of that is like everything.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm just reflecting on our conversation and the things that I walk away with. Of course, I'm going to rewatch it, read the transcript, really be with it. But like right now, what I'm with is love is the most important thing. Go play.
Go play and sense of humor. Yes, yes.
And that's it, really. Love is
Yeah,
the whole thing. Love is the whole, I say love is the whole story.
yeah.
Love
But
is the
like
whole story.
humor,
Go play.
yeah, play. I mean, especially as someone who stopped being a kid. I mean, I'm always like, that's why I'm so immature now. I mean, really, there's no pictures of me as a kid. I mean, that's it, 8 years old. And play is so important. And nothing grosses me out more than people that take themselves too seriously. It's like, and it's just like, you know, Wayne Dyer would always say, like, you know, no one gets out alive. Like, when my son was born on a laugh in the poem I wrote, I was like, it's like he was already in on the joke. It's really, life's already hard. Let's not make it harder. For real.
Yeah. What a blessing for your son to come in now when you've already done all this work.
I agree, you know, because I was 41. And of course, sometimes especially because my dad died at 38, there's a lot that comes up. But there's no part of me that is like, boy, I wish I had him when I was younger, because, oh, hell no. You wouldn't even like, even though people wouldn't even recognize me. And I mean, nothing physically, although it translates. And when I worked at the newsroom, how much I hated myself, how I just, there's no way. And so divine timing at 41, and he's hilarious. So look, I don't even care. He can be dumb as a rock. He is so funny. And that's everything. I'm kidding.
Is his humor because of his timing? Has he got timing, or he just like his way of
Yes,
seeing
yes.
things?
So he's got this wit, like, you know, a lot of I've actually never met a child like this. You know, I could say something really dry and deadpan, and most kids are so, and he picks up, he doesn't miss a beat. And I'm like, okay, Charlie, who are you? How? And like, I would go, what's so on his birthday? What's so great so far about being 9? And he's like, I'm funnier. And I'm like, dude, I mean, he I know this is very random, but like, one of my favorite songs is "No More I Love Yous" by Annie Lennox.
Yeah.
Random, but and I played a lot. But I don't even realize he's paying attention. So he makes me this video. He's in London the other day. He goes, "Hi, mommy, I love you. So I'm gonna sing one of your favorite songs." And I'm like, "What's coming?" And all of a sudden he goes, "No more I love yous." I forget the rest. And then he does a dance, and then he comes back and he's like, starts singing it again. He goes, "No more I love yous." He goes, "Just kidding. So many more I love you." I mean, it's just like, so he's funny. He his timing, his wit, he and of course I call myself inappropriate mommy because I let him watch shit and I'm like, oh my God. But we'll cover his eyes. You know, I'm like, inappropriate mommy. And so my friend Holt is the lead of a show right now called The Waterfront on Netflix. And Charlie watched like one episode and then he like walked away, but maybe he was like walking in and out. So we were FaceTiming yesterday and he looks at me and he goes, makes this face. And he goes, "I'm Uncle Holt." Like, we call him Uncle Holt. And Holt's like grimacing. And I was like, okay, that's so funny. And I took a screenshot. And then I was like, do that thing where you like imitate the show. I didn't know he was paying any attention. He I gotta send you the video. I put it on his, he like fully like does like the whole show in like a minute and a half, doing all the characters. And I sent it to Holt and he was like, oh my God. And I don't, he's just got that something, something. Um, but funny, my dad was the funniest person ever. And it's so important to me, and the wit, and it's, oh, and it's fun. It's fun because I can banter with him, volley. Yesterday I said to Henry, lobby. He's like, it's volley. Okay, I can volley with him, and he just turned 9, so it's pretty
Yeah.
wild, you know.
Yeah. Well, he's picked up your capacity for noticing everything.
Well,
So he's
thanks.
got that observational humor. It's so observational humor.
You know, it's interesting you say that because my friend MJ, who is a CODA, Children of Deaf Adults, she, has been around us, and she goes, Charlie is such a CODA, because there's a way that they pay attention, because he's used to, for example, he knows I have to read lips. So he won't talk to me unless I'm looking at him. There's all these things like that she clocked that I didn't realize. And a lot of that is having me as a mom, because of my deafness and the other things, has informed his way of being. And some of it he just came in with. It's
Yeah.
all him, And my dead dad had something to do with it. Come on. But
Well, it's going to be fun to see what he brings out in life, where he goes, what he gets up to. I mean, probably like you, he'll be a polymath.
a what?
Polymath. Like Elena, polymath or polymat. I don't know if it's polymat.
Well, I mean,
polymath.
first, like, math gives me anxiety, and I was
It's being good at more than one thing.
And then I heard poly, and I was like, whoa, I got just like so confused in my brain of what you were saying. I just saw this and heard like sex parties and like geometry. And I'm like, what's Scott saying? Ew. What? My
That's
friends
great. I
into
love
all
it.
that stuff, and I'm sort of like such a prude. Like, I love Henry, and I'm just like, I never want to like see you with anyone else or even think about we're both the same. And not in a jealous way. We're just like, we're good. And my friend is just like into all this stuff. And so I'm not judgy at all. Quite the opposite. I like tells me every detail. I'm like, I don't want it in any universe, but tell me it all. And she tells me the weirdest like sex stories. And I'm just like, tell me more. Also, ew, tell me more, but, so I thought you were going there. Okay. I don't know what polymax or math is.
Polymath is somebody who is good at many things. Just think about Elena. Elena Brower, she's a millionaires in doTERRA. She's an extraordinary yoga teacher. She's an extraordinary poet, extraordinary author, extraordinary painter. I mean, she can cook. She can do interior design, blah, blah, blah. She's so many things. And that sounds like your kid.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty wild. You want to hate her and you can't.
How? She's so nice.
I'm kidding. You know that kind of that.
No,
joke.
I do.
So incredible. Yeah. You're like, and they're so lovely.
People that remind me of that are an invitation to wake the F up, that all the powers of creation are in each of us in seed form.
My first book, I talk about it still. I do this thing, it's about busting out of the Justa-box, Gusta, because, a lot of people, a lot of moms I know, I'm just a mom. And so nothing aggravates me more. And when I feel it too, of like that, there's no box, and we have to remember that. And so what you're saying is, and especially when someone models that, it's such a beautiful reminder. There ain't no box. You're not just anything. You are the box.
And the box is as wide as the universe.
Yep.
Containing everything.
Yep.
Containing everything. Well, I'm feeling this is a really beautiful natural ending point for our first conversation, our first official conversation, big conversation.
So
official, so serious. And I'd like to invite us all into just to be quiet and just to be together. So if you want and you've got a mirror near you, you can be with yourself in the eyes. Or if you're watching this on YouTube or a video, you can be with Jen and I in the eyes. Just be, soften the hands, soften the feet, soften the breath. Loving the episode? Click to follow, like, and share it as widely as possible. Want to go deeper with the choice to grow? Explore the show notes. You'll find links there for going deeper with our guests, as well as how to work with me in the work of waking up, growing up, cleaning up, and showing up. Thanks for listening. Can't wait to join you in the next episode.